Hello, welcome to another and final episode of Just Two Dads. 5 years, 200 plus episodes in the making, and today is a bittersweet day to some degree. A lot of excitement as we sort of close a chapter of the book and get to the next chapter. We're going to talk more about what's happening with the Just Two Dads. The Just Two Dads podcast and what's happening in the next phase of all of this. So stay tuned for another episode of Just Two Dads. Hey everyone, I'm Brian. I'm tuning in along with Shawn Francis, and this is an episode number. We should actually know the number, right? It's totally perfectly suitable that we are 200 plus episodes in, and we never know the number of the episode that we're going. Anyways,
yeah, I'll pull it up while you're talking.
While I'm rambling, it's the ultimate episode of Just Two Dads. We've had a lot of discussion over the last several months about, do we do another season? What does it look like? What are the things that we are focused on individually and collectively? And what's the next phase? And so we're going to talk today about what that means as we wrap up Just Two Dads and launch a couple of new initiatives. And we're excited to talk about that. Sad to some degree, but also very happy and very excited about what's next. So without further ado, did you find the number? Did you see it?
No, I'm gonna look. I saw 212, but I don't think that's accurate.
Yeah, yeah. Anyways, we started this. I'll ramble some more.
Yeah. Okay.
Shawn and I met in financial services, and the one thing that we shared in common is we had children who were dealing with some special needs issues. Shawn's son's on the autism spectrum. My daughter was dealing with some learning disabilities, but we as dads of special needs kids, we were looking at the financial services industry and realizing that the industry itself wasn't really serving the special needs community as a whole. And just like everything that we've discovered over the last 5 years, whenever there was an opportunity for something that we learned about that we had no idea about when we got started, we wanted to introduce it to other folks. So we started to talk about financial services for the special needs community and did a bunch of financial needs presentations. And during those presentations, we kept meeting amazing people who were providing services to the community that we didn't even know about. And so we thought, oh my gosh, this would be a great person for us to have a conversation with. And then we discovered the opportunity to create our own podcast, to have it started out as a Facebook Live that, if you go back to our first couple of episodes, I think we do it on occasion just to see that we are capable of evolving, and we a really terrible job at the very beginning. But the idea was to talk to people who were doing great things, and we have now over 200 episodes. 220, is it, Shawn? What's the number? 221.
It was. This is the number was right. It was 213. So this is 214 here.
214 episodes and a little over 5 years. We've had some years where we were very consistent and we were putting out, releasing episodes every Wednesday. And then it got a little sporadic, and as business and life, changed, and we sort of changed the way we did things. We used to go live on Facebook and live into other platforms, but now we record and release. So at least the release schedule has been maintaining some level of consistency. But as we decided to look at this we're calling it a fifth season, and looking at the other things that were in our lives and in what we're doing, we thought maybe this would be a good time for us to end the Just Two Dads podcast as it's been, and regenerate, rebrand, and rejuvenate what we are doing, and so we're going on to new things. So that was a little summary. While Shawn was looking for our episode number, 215. It feels like a lot more than that.
It does. It really does. Yeah.
Right. You want to add anything that we're able there for a little bit?
It's weird. It feels weird sitting here doing this because, there's like a long list of reasons. One, for me, did you ever think that when you first got into listening to podcasts, because I have been now for, it's that, and then how fast time flies. I've been listening to podcasts now for more than 5 years, probably close to a decade, but which seems odd. And never once did I think I'm going to have a podcast of my own one day. That wasn't like a plan. And when we got invited to be on a podcast that two dads hosted that were each special needs dads, and ours was one of many episodes that they recorded, none of which they ever released. It wasn't even like we went, gee, Brian, we should do our own. We could do that. We didn't even do that. We just started doing, like you said, these Facebook Lives. And it was like, is this thing on? I'm not sure. I think we're on, literally. And it seems like that was more than 5 years ago because we've come so far since that time. So in that sense, and because it became like second nature, it feels weird. It also feels weird because it really is like right in the middle between sad and exciting. And so, so we should talk about a little bit of the sad part is obvious because we're no longer doing this. We've built this brand and an audience and everything. The good thing is that there'll still be something for the audience. And we always, try to figure out, well, what is that necessarily going to be and going to look like? I'll give a little more detail on that as it gets closer to fruition. But the other thing is, from the standpoint of our financial services, there's been a change that's taken place there for the better, and it's actually been just about a year, maybe even a little more than that, and yet it feels like it's just starting because we were part of a platform and entity that was designed to allow one to work as an independent contractor in financial services and build their own business. And most everyone around us was so supportive and so encouraging as we began to build the initiative for special needs, but it wasn't our platform. And so there's little limitations here and there in that kind of environment, one that wants to create a level playing field for everyone. Something like that requires a lot of oversight, especially when you're talking about agents and advisors across, multiple countries and all that kind of stuff. And when you start something that's kind of your own, which Brian is really the one who did that. And I did some soul searching because I realized that I did a better job at mastering the art of complication than I thought. So it took me a little longer to realize, wait a minute, this is just either you're going to do this or you're not. And then when you do, it's kind of like, how did I do that for so long? And that goes back to the question that we always close the show with, which is, give us one thought or an example of a belief that you once believed to be true, but no longer do. And those answers are always evolving if you're growing. And so we'll be, Brian, I don't know how much you want to talk about the entity itself, the venture, so we can let people know what they have to look forward to in that regard. And I'm really thankful that despite the journey of Just Two Dads itself ending, the journey of our financial services venture is far from over and quite frankly just beginning.
Well, before we get into that, like you're going to continue doing, are you going to continue doing the podcast for the special needs community? Yeah.
Yes. Yes. The new. Yeah. While I said that I'll give you more as it becomes closer to fruition. Well, I'm talking about specifics. What will take place is a podcast that serves the community and the audience that's been loyal to Just Two Dads for the past 5 years, most definitely.
Yeah. So again, our goal is to continue to serve the special needs community just in different capacities. So I'm going off and doing other things in the financial industry. I still sit on the board of We Are Brave Together that serves moms of special needs kids, respite and resources. I still sit on the board of Yes, I Can Unity, which helps young adults with special needs issues learn about the entertainment industry, film and TV and music, and career paths along those ways. So we each continue to serve the special needs community in the ways that we've done. We're just Two Dads is, and Shawn will continue doing a podcast that serves that community, rebrand it, in a whole new, in a whole new light. So we'll continue to serve. We'll continue to serve because it's still a community that we are both members of and that we love dearly and support heavily. So, so that's going to happen. All the Just Two Dads episodes that we've recorded to date are going to remain. We have a YouTube channel, so they'll be accessible. Hopefully people will still get value. A lot of it stuff is evergreen material, so it'll go on for a long period of time and add value. And so if you have friends that hadn't seen any of our episodes, feel free to hit the share the share button as much as possible. And then there'll be a new resource for the new podcast that Shawn will be doing, again focused on the special needs community.
As a matter of fact, no, sorry. What were you going to say?
No, I was going to go off onto the finance stuff.
Oh, just before you did that, I was just going to say it's one of the things I tried to figure out was, okay, how does it continue? How do you do that? Do you just remain with Just Two Dads and maybe there's a different host or something like that? That didn't seem to make sense, and I wasn't prepared to do the Shawn Francis show either. I just didn't. That just not part of the fabric and makeup, but it was told to me by different people that have podcasts as I've grown relationships over the years with people that have done podcasts for years and things like that. And we've been in contact with a variety of people. It was told to me, well, if you're going to, rebrand, so to speak, what you can do is simply keep the YouTube channel and name that whatever the new show is going to be. And I wasn't even sure if that was something that could physically be done, but it can. So all the Just Two Dads episodes are in one place, and the new episodes will be available there also. So, and like Brian said, those topics are not only are the topics in the episodes, evergreen, in some cases they become even more relevant. So they will all be available.
Yeah. So all that to say is we're both excited about the opportunities in front of us. And again, I realized, just from a personal perspective, the things that I have on my plate in front of me, what I'm doing, added a new license for our field recently, adding another one here before the end of the year. And it changes the things that I can say publicly and that I can promote and that I can do. And so it has there's an external focus, if you will, an external, basically
factor
that I have to take into consideration. And I didn't really want to, do anything that would jeopardize either the licensing or the integrity of the show. So that's one piece of it. Also, just looking at where I'm putting my efforts and things. And honestly, frankly, it's been unfair for many years. Shawn has done the most of the lift here and getting our guests and vetting them out and having pre-show conversations. And I just didn't have the time to do all of that. We don't have a producer. And Shawn is the co-host and producer and everything. It wasn't fair for me to put all of that on him and come in as, co-host. Look at, even on if you're watching on the video, it says co-host under my name and nothing under Shawn's name. So like I come in, I'm claiming that title. Like it wasn't fair. Like it doesn't feel like the load was lifted on an equitable basis, and I didn't feel like I could do more. So I just, which wasn't fair. So that's all.
And I have to say how much, and not that I didn't appreciate it before, but that's again why the question that the show closes with is so huge. Perspective is everything. And we talk about, you and I talk about this off camera all the time too. Conflict in the world, conflict in the backyard, conflict in the home, conflict in your community, whatever have you. You have to be able to stop and look at things from a different perspective and stand back. And some of those things can't be done without the benefit of time. And so, and this is a classic example of it, because while I appreciated it, because I think you said that. So, and we'll get into the financial services stuff, which I'm so excited about, because we have more, on one hand, there's more oversight. On the other hand, there's more freedom to bring light to the vision that we see, bringing financial literacy and service to the special needs community and education. And so even though Brian said to me, because he had taken on additional licenses, that really dictate when things are done. I was like, okay, yeah, I appreciate that. But then in hindsight, I appreciate it even more. And I think some of it was because I didn't feel like anything was being kind of put off on me or anything like that. But that's also why there's episodes where, I think 98, 99% of the episodes, there's two of us, you have a handful, maybe 5 of them, whereas only one of us, because as they say, life be lifing. And so, many times it does. So we would have to just kind of pivot. And I think, coming to the reality that this pivot had to take place because we wouldn't be able to really, do it that way. It's just a fact, and all of it's just been such a tremendous blessing, because some of the things that are getting ready to take place that we're going to do would never take place if it wasn't for this show.
Yeah. And I think that, the other thing is we've created lifelong friendships with many of the folks that were started out as just guests, and people that we encountered that we see on a regular basis. The folks at We Are Brave, as an example, Jessica Batey, Susanna Peace Lavelle, Kelly Coleman. There are a lot of folks that we have that we run into, and in that circle, which is very small, we continue to have built these relationships that have added so tremendously to our lives. And then there are other things that have come up, like interviewing Katie Asher, still one of our favorite episodes of all time, because of the tremendous value it had the first time. And then she and her son Houston, part of the telepathy tapes, and got a chance to interview her again and see Houston on camera and meet and talk to a few of the folks involved in the telepathy tapes, which has had a global impact on the world of autism. And so, we're overwhelmed by the circle of folks that we've had the pleasure of meeting and becoming friends with, and continue to circulate around. And so, that's one thing to be celebrated, because we wouldn't have had that if we hadn't done this. So
no. Good example of that is, like, for instance, this huge event, which I don't even know if we promoted it on the show because it's been extra crazy lately, but it was a 3-day event that was held by the Arc of California. And, that relationship is a little more fortified than beforehand as well. And that was great as well. And then Billy Footwear, they've been tremendously, fantastic. We'll be continuing to work with them with the new show, as well. And so what's different with regard to financial services, with the services that we provided before, was that we actually had a wide array of products and services, everything from life insurance to debt elimination, estate planning. We had access to because of partnerships, retirement, long and short-term savings, all those different things. And now we have access to an even wider array of things, a more sophisticated type and amount of things. And we now have the autonomy to say, well, you know what's important in the special needs community? People that are diagnosed with A should be able to have B. What provider is there that offers that, or who can we have that conversation with? Beforehand, we had to run a lot of things up a flagpole to hope that someone would have that conversation on our behalf, or allow us at the table where the conversation could be had. And to be fair, a lot of people were really receptive, but for many of them, as much as people try to be, that's why empathy is constant work. As much as they would try to be empathetic about it, it's just not their community and not their fight. So that wasn't as easy to do as this already has been.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
The
other thing, did I do that?
I don't know. You just sort of ended, and I wasn't sure if there was.
Oh,
yeah. There's more. Next paragraph. When you're watching the orchestra and somebody's in the middle of playing something and somebody reaches over and turns the page for them. I'm not sure if that was if you were kind of waiting to turn the page.
No. That was it. This is the part that gets missed. But it's going to be missed, right? At least here, because we have these conversations offline and off camera anyway.
Yeah.
But the other thing that's cool is the den also. The men's group. We were meeting bi-weekly on a Sunday, and some of the challenges from a communication standpoint are an example as to why the group exists. Like within it, I would let all the guys know, look, I may be hosting whatever, this is your group, is created for you. Is there a time that works better for you? You might have one person that says that. We have members from, Mexico City to Long Island, New York, and in between. And you'll have one person that'll say, it's been kind of a challenge for me. Most people don't say anything. And then I had one of the guys, mention it again. I was like, you know what, maybe we got to move this to a weeknight. So as of now, when we're recording it, our second call on a weeknight takes place tomorrow. And because we did the first one 2 weeks ago, and it was a lot more open. There were more participants. There was at least one guy who brought ridiculous value and had not been on for months. And quite frankly, I had forgotten that he was part of the group, because what happens is a lot of people sign up and don't necessarily get on the calls. And you have to keep in mind, if you're not careful, you can get caught up in how many people show up, which kind of makes it about you and you don't even realize it. But it's about being able to bring the most that you can for the people that do show up. So the link will be, registration link will be in the show notes as well. And this is how busy we've been. I was looking at the registration. The registration talked about when the first call was going to be. That was 2 years ago. So the registration form itself hadn't even been updated. That's how busy we've been.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So grateful for the opportunity that it's created for us, and the relationships and the kinds of things that we're now involved in, which is great. And on a going forward basis, again, other things that occupy our time. So what Shawn mentioned was about, now it's been about 19 months for me. I left the last firm and moved over to a wealth management firm, a family office, if you will, and created our own branding called Harbor Light Financial Strategies within that firm, and that allows us to do things. We're doing a lot of insurance and insurance-based products, annuities, and that type of thing. And again, as Shawn mentioned, other sort of financial services, student loan negotiations and debt and estate planning and whatnot. Now with the family office and the full weight of a wealth management firm that owns its own broker dealer, it owns its own insurance agency, it owns its own management consulting firm. We now have access to a whole bunch of financial opportunities for our clients. Before, we were somewhat limited because we were in this sort of narrow focus, and now we're not. So exposure to a lot of great, amazing opportunities, and high level relationships with firms that we can go and have those conversations with for particular demographics and particular segments of the population. That makes it fun for us, gives us something of, additional value, and really, so where the licensing comes in is the ability to be able to offer as many or all of those things to everybody as we possibly can. So that's where a lot of this is going. That's where a lot of our time and attention is, and it's portfolio management. It's creating family generational wealth plans. I'm putting out a broad email to our client base about the difference between estate planning and legacy planning. Those kinds of things that change the mindset around how you look at money, not just from the perspective of today, but tomorrow, next year, beyond, and generations down the road. So I'm really excited about that. And I spent a weekend in Newport, Rhode Island. My brother is a provost at a university there, so got a chance to see it. And if you've ever been in Newport, Rhode Island, it's the place where a lot of the original robber barons, the industrial magnates of the world were based in New York, and a lot of them created their summer cottages in Newport, Rhode Island. The summer cottages are like 80,000 square foot mansions, massive amounts of wealth and wealth accumulation. What was interesting to see, if you look at, and we're talking about families that are well known, the Vanderbilts, the Astors, wealthy
Rockefellers.
that had Rockefellers, many of the families that had built generational wealth legacies. However, it's interesting to see that for some of the families, and I can name them, Vanderbilts, for example, 5 generations from the creation of, at the time, what would be worth today $200 million, 5 generations, and that's gone. The wealth is gone. That family is, the people in the 5th generation no longer are benefiting from what that family started, as opposed to the Rockefellers that had family office and estate plan, legacy planning in place. The Rockefeller Foundation, the Rockefeller family fortune is still amassing great wealth. And so that kind of, I got a chance to see it, and see it in person, the difference between those that had something that could have a lasting legacy and those that had it and lost it for a whole bunch of reasons. And so, some of the work that I'm doing and that the team is doing in the work, that we do as a group, is to make sure that our clients understand, and again, estate planning versus legacy planning. Estate planning is obviously the wills and trusts and the details, directives and whatnot. But legacy planning is, I should say this way. Estate planning is, what do you want to leave behind to whom? And legacy planning is, what do I want to be known for after I'm gone?
Mm-hmm.
What's the legacy I want to leave behind? What's the legacy I want my family to be able to live into and step into? And what's important and meaningful to me as building an estate? Where do I want the money to go? Where do I want what causes are important to me? What are the things that I want to be known for? And I had somebody say to me, do any of you remember your great-grandfather's name? Chances are you don't. But if your great-grandfather had set up an estate plan and a legacy plan that had you get a monthly check with his name on it from his trust, chances are you probably remember your great-grandfather's name. I don't know my great-grandfather's name. I know my grandfather's name. I don't know my great-grandfather.
Yeah.
So that's the stuff that we're involved in now, and that's that's a lot of focus from a professional.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
My time and effort is going.
Yeah, and because it's our ship, I don't even think we realized this before. Actually, I know we didn't, because I'm only doing it now. Because when this show comes to a close, you get to kind of step on the sidelines for a second and look at the playing field, and you're like, wow, I never realized it. We talked about the fact that we were in financial services before, and we weren't handcuffed, so to speak, but because it wasn't that overtly restrictive, we didn't realize that there were limitations on how much we talked about what we do, because if you're going to mention the firm by name, you got to make sure you get permission and all these different things. The new show is going to very freely promote Harbor Light. And then the other thing is, we didn't create the show, create Just Two Dads to promote financial services. So that's something that came up every now and then. And we talked about general concepts. We had a couple episodes with no guests where we talked about things that bring value to people. But especially with some of the outreach and responses that I've gotten to posts on social media lately, I think there is a growing need or an openness that people are having. And who knows, maybe some of it is my message because now we own what we do. But those are things that you're going to be finding out about in the months to come when the new show is launched. And Harbor Light is a official part of that, because and the main thing for that is, okay, it's not just our business and we're looking to promote it. But at the end of the day, the more you're around it, you realize what people really need. I had a friend pass away recently who is a friend of close to 40 years and happened to be a client and was someone that I would have been reluctant to speak to about the financial services that we provide. But before he passed away, he continuously thanked me that we were able to put something in place, and his wife still does to this day. and what was in place for them was more limited than the stuff that we have access to now. So it becomes very important for people to know that those things are available and to change the way they think about that which they deserve or have access to. Because when you think about that, you think that that's something for people that have a whole bunch of money. And well, yeah, but it's for you too. But you don't get to it unless you stop and change your thought and realize that that's the case. And like I always say, anything that affects the general population affects those of us who are parents or caregivers to those with special needs or disability 10 times more so.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we don't want to belabor this last episode. We wanted to kind of keep it short, give a message. Again, acknowledge where we've been, give a little bit of a hint and the things that we're focused on as we move forward. It's been an amazing experience, something that's been impactful and meaningful in such a huge way. Timing of as I always find out, the timing of certain of our episodes with kind of what's happening in the world. It's not coincidental. We were talking today in October of 2025. It's Jewish holiday of Simchat Torah, the third most important holiday in Jewish life, and also the day that the hostages that were held in Gaza came home. Meaningful and impactful, and new beginnings. It's what happens. So what happens at every year? There's Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Most people know about. It's the end of the year and the atoning for the sins that occurred in the last year, and then preparation for the new year. And Simchat Torah is sort of rolling the Torah back to the beginning and starting over every year, as they do every year. And so but you end one chapter. What is the next chapter in life going to look like, and where you go? And it's just it's sort of like the beginning of planting the seeds of the next spring. So
exactly,
the show's been an amazing journey for me personally. I know for my daughter Jordan, hopefully, as I know for you, Shawn, as well, and for our family, people involved. And so I'm honored and blessed to have been a part of this for the last 5 years, and really looking forward to what the next chapter looks like.
Yes, most definitely. And look forward to having you on the new show as time permits too.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect.
Okay. To everyone within the sound of our voice, thank you so very much for the past 5 years. We love you. Remember that questions are more powerful than statements. We should strive to be more childlike and less childish. And like Brian said, it's so funny how the state of the world seems to tie into so much of the episodes that we're talking about on a given basis. And I just have to say, I especially when you're referencing everything that's been taking place between Israel and Gaza, I saw some posts earlier today that I don't even think people were aware that they were implying that if you're pro-Palestinian, that automatically means that you're pro-Hamas, or that if you're pro-Palestinian, you can't be happy about the release of the hostages. And the fact that people even think that way and don't even know that they're thinking that way is just a reason to stop and step back, whether it's a situation at home between you and a sibling or your spouse or whoever. We can't solve a problem at the same level of consciousness at which it occurs. So step off the merry-go-round for a second, whether it's yours or somebody else's, and try and look from a different angle to try and figure out where somebody else is coming from, and just get curious about somebody else's shoes.
On that note, thank you to our Just Two Dads family of listeners and viewers, and for all the support, Billy Footwear, and all the folks that surround us. And we do love you, and look forward to seeing you again in the next go round of whatever this looks like. So for the last time, I think we're going to sign off on Just Two Dads. We good, John?
We're good.
We're good. All right. Love you, everybody. Thanks again.
Thank you.
See you soon.